Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Wednesday, September 9th. A lot to talk about this morning. We still have the very cold air mass for this time of the year out across the Rocky Mountain states. Still a lot of activity in the Atlantic Basin, tropical activity that is, as we near the climatological peak of the Atlantic tropical season. We have numerous waves to monitor, and it looks like we'll have an end to the dry stretch of weather that we've experienced here in the mid-Atlantic region over the past several days. A chance of some showers or thunderstorms later today and tonight, but perhaps an even better chance on Thursday. Let's start off with the cold wave out in the Rocky Mountain states, and this is a dramatic cold wave here. It is normal for some snow to fall in places like Denver during the month of September, and it is relatively common to have some dramatic temperature drops this time of the year out in that part of the nation. However, this one was certainly more extreme than most. We had some temperature drops of 60 degrees plus, nearing the all-time high in terms of a change of temperatures in a 24-hour period. Denver yesterday bottomed out at 32 degrees, which was a record low for the date, and the earliest freeze, the earliest 32-degree reading ever at Denver. This morning we have all kinds of records or near record lows out across the Rocky Mountain states. Perhaps the most impressive that I've seen here is this station right in here is reporting a monthly record, and that's pretty unusual because we're only 9 days into the month of September. Usually a monthly cold temperature record this time of the year would come towards the end of the month, but they're down to 28 degrees right here, and that is already at a monthly record low and could drop another degree or two. But again, very cold air mass for this time of the year. Meanwhile, out in the west, they have continued to have some record heat and wildfires. When this cold front came through, it really meant business. There were winds right in here. The Wasatch Mountain region of Utah had some downsloping winds as high as 99 miles per hour, a narrow band of power outages right along the western slopes of the Wasatch Mountains in Utah. Again, that was with the passage of that very powerful cold front that ushered in the very cold air and the snow for the Rocky Mountain states. Still some snow accumulations today, especially southwestern part of Colorado. That cold air mass will modify significantly over the next few days, but again, some record lows or near record lows throughout a large part of that part of the nation early this morning. Well, let's take a quick look at the tropics here. We have multiple waves to deal with this morning. First of all, there is this tropical wave sitting off the southeast coastline between Bermuda, which is right here, and the southeast coastline. It is drifting to the northwest and may or may not reach tropical storm status, but even if it doesn't, it will supply some moisture in this part of the nation, the mid-Atlantic region. Some of that could even move up into the northern mid-Atlantic over the next couple of days. Again, it's been quite dry for the last 5 days or so in the mid-Atlantic region, but the chances for rain will increase later today and tonight, especially on the day Thursday, and some of them maybe some tropical moisture feeding in to the mid-Atlantic region. So that is one tropical wave we'll have to keep our eyes on. Paulette, pretty strong tropical storm, 60 mile per hour sustained winds right now, maximum sustained winds, not all that far from hurricane status. Continues to drift very slowly to the west-northwest. Renee has weakened somewhat in the overnight hours, now back down to a tropical depression. It was a tropical storm, and yet another wave is sitting off right in this region right here, right near the west coast of Africa. That too will move out over the open waters of the tropical Atlantic. So a lot of activity in the central and eastern Atlantic that we'll have to monitor over the next several days. And this one, pretty close to the southeast coastline, has to also be monitored. So as we're near the climatological peak, which is around the middle part of September, some studies have shown specifically September 10th, which is tomorrow, represents the climatological peak of the Atlantic Basin season. So it's not all that unusual to see all this activity. But of course, this has been a very active, above normal type of season in the Atlantic Basin, and it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. Well, let's walk through some of the computer forecast models of last night. This is the GFS operational run at 6C. We're looking at the 500 millibar height anomalies. And here is the upper level low, a deep upper level low associated with that cold air mass this morning, kind of still sliding to the south and east, basically sitting over the Four Corners region in the southwestern part of the nation. Very cold air, as we just saw a moment ago, in this part of the nation, but the ridging along the west coast continues with, in some cases, record heat along the west coast, and wildfires extend from Washington State down to Oregon, down to northern California, right in this region yesterday, and a warmer than normal pattern setting up again here in the northeast U.S. with high pressure ridging sitting over the western part of the Atlantic. Let's just move forward here a few days here and notice this ridge intensifies. It stays quite warm for the next couple of days in the mid-Atlantic region. This is the Thursday morning forecast map, and we'll be well up in the 80s in the urban corridor from D.C. to Philadelphia to New York City over the next couple of days. This upper level low tends to just slowly dissipate out in the Rockies, and there is a piece of it, some of that cooler air does work its way into the Great Lakes region, and then ultimately into the northeastern part of the nation. We could have actually quite comfortable temperatures here at the end of the week in the mid-Atlantic region going into the weekend, but that weakens as it pulls out to the north and east, and then hotter weather returns to the Rocky Mountains by the end of the weekend or the early part of next week. Well, let's now walk through the surface forecast maps from the operational run of the GFS 6C last night. First of all, still some blues out here over Colorado, and even some accumulating snow, especially across southwestern part of Colorado. Some mixed ice and snow just to the southeast of there, but a cold air mass starts today here at midweek, early Wednesday morning. Still rain-free in the mid-Atlantic region, the northeast U.S., but that is about to change. Again, we've had a stretch of dry weather over the last 5 or 6 days or so. Notice right here, a little bit of a closed isobar here. That represents the position of that tropical wave off the southeast coastline. Again, feeding some moisture into the mid-Atlantic region, especially the Carolinas and Virginia. Some of that moisture, enhanced moisture, will make it all the way up into the middle and northern parts of the mid-Atlantic region over the next couple of days. And here we are now by overnight tonight into the day on Thursday. Probably a better chance of rain tomorrow, places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Again, it's been very dry over the last several days. Still some residual blues showing up here. A little bit of snow even as late as tomorrow afternoon in the Rocky Mountain region, but just heat, dry weather, and that's contributing to the wildfires out along the west coast. Not only has it been quite hot, but quite dry as well across western Washington, Oregon, into northern California, for example. Let's keep moving forward here. Some showers, thunderstorms tomorrow and tomorrow night in the mid-Atlantic region. Again, a little bit of a boost from that moisture from tropical waves sitting off the east coast. Then we see this high pressure area that features some of that cooler air, well modified air mass here by this point in time, but nonetheless a pleasant air mass crosses over the Great Lakes on Friday, and Friday and Saturday in the Great Lakes and even the northeast U.S. can be quite comfortable. Maybe highs can find in the 70s in places like D.C. and Philadelphia and New York City on those 2 days. Then we get into Saturday, and still high pressure in control for the most part. That then shifts off the coast by the time we get to the second half of the weekend. High scoots off to the north and east, and that kind of opens the door for moisture to return, perhaps in the form of showers and thunderstorms on Sunday and probably Monday as well in the eastern states. So maybe a couple of days of a break in terms of the threat of rain on Friday and Saturday, and then the rain threat probably returns in much of the eastern U.S. for Sunday and Monday. And then yet another Canadian high will be on the map, and that'll drop south and east, could produce another stretch of comfortable weather for much of the Great Lakes, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast U.S. So a lot going on. We have wildfires in the far western U.S. We have record cold or near record cold over the Rocky Mountain states. It really extends from parts of the southwest U.S. all the way to the northern plains. We have the end to the dry weather pattern coming to the Mid-Atlantic region over the next 24 to 48 hours or so, and still a lot of activity in the tropical Atlantic as we near the climatological peak of the tropical season. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.